Law enforcement shut them down, seized their servers, arrested their people, unmasked their leaders, and yet, by December, they announced version 4. Now, you might be thinking, what crazy things I'm talking about. You know what? $813 million were paid to ransomware groups alone in December in 2024 itself. So today we are going to talk about why you cannot kill ransomware. So hello everyone and welcome to episode number 2. $813 million paid to ransomware groups in 2024. Law enforcement shut them down, yet they came back stronger. So hello everyone once again. This is Isha Singh Malik, the real face behind the podcast Breach Brief, where we discuss about so many real life stories, cyber crimes, cyber frauds that might have happened earlier or might be taking place in the current era. So we are going to unmask all of them and read every bit of it. So before I proceed further with a whole lot of the story about this 2024 ransomware groups, I would like to give you a brief about what basically is ransomware. Whether you belong to a cybersecurity field or you are not, it is for everyone who can get an idea, who can actually get to know what it is and what actually happened at that particular time. So guys, ransomware. Ransom is simply, if we talk about ransom, let's just take an example. If you are kidnapped by someone, so they would ask ransom either from your parents, your family, or your near and dear ones. Ransom means they're asking for some money in return of any value. That means if it is in your data, if it is in your system, and if your system is hacked and they encrypted the data and they are doing what? They're asking for the ransom for your value itself, for your own data itself. So that basically is ransom. Now, what are ransomware groups? Ransomware groups are the people, a group of people or a combination of people who do all of these things and ask for the money for their personal benefits. So that is the ransomware groups, and that actually took place in 2024. So we are going to discuss one of the story from the 2024 itself. In February 2024, international law enforcement executed one of the most publicized cyber criminal takedowns in history. Now, why in history? Because Operation Kronos, this was the name of the operation that was held by the international law enforcement. A coordinated effort involving the FBI, Europol, the UK's National Crime Agency, and the agencies from other countries as well, who seized Lockbit's infrastructure. Now, Lockbit is basically one of the ransomware group which was alleged for ransomware attacks and stuff like that. So, they seized Lockbit's infrastructure, took down their dark web leak site, also arrested affiliates which were present in Poland and Ukraine, and also unmasked the group's alleged administrator. Alleged administrator simply means, guys, the head or you can say the leader of that particular group. Dmitry Yurek and Koroshev. Might be my pronunciation could be wrong, so I'm so sorry for that. But yeah, Dmitry Yurek Koroshev, placing him on an international sanctions list. That means he was on a list of the most, you can say, most alleged administrators for any sort of cybercrime fraud that have taken place. For a brief window, it looked like the ransom industry had taken a serious blow, which means it looked like that there is a whole lot of things going on. So definitely it could be the case that ransomware industry is no more there anymore. But that was not the case. Hold on, guys. Hold on. So, by December 2024, back again, Lockbit announced the Lockbit 4.0 version. As I mentioned, that by December they announced their fourth version. The promotional message read, "Want a Lamborghini, Ferrari, and lots of girls?" Yeah, it sounds crazy, no? Sign up and start your Pentester billionaire journey in 5 minutes with us. So that was basically a Lockbit's promotional message. They quoted it in this way that anyone could fall for their trap and they would just bang on with another version of themselves. So the ransomware business was definitely open again. So what actually happened in 2024? This comes into the question now. And to understand it better, I have mentioned that ransomware story was not only in the 2024, it have been a longer period since it was going on, but it took a serious blow in 2024 because Lockbit was alleged and also shut down by the law enforcement, but they came back stronger, as I mentioned in the headlines as well. So you know what they did? You need to hold two contradictory facts at the same time when you are talking about ransomware story. Number one is total ransomware payment fell to $813 million, a 35% drop from 2023 report. That means in 2023, the record of ransomware was 1.25 billion, whereas it dropped 35% in 2024. This sounds like a progress, no? Absolutely. But the number of successful ransomware attacks reached its highest point ever, with over 5,260 confirmed incidents and 56 new data leak sites. That means that was a progress that it went down to 35%, but actually it took a serious blow by confirming incidents of ratio 5,260 and 56 new data leak sites, which were created and more than double the number from the year before. That means before years and everything that have happened, it have been doubled by that number. So how do both of these things happen simultaneously? Obviously, this is a question because it was dropped as well, but this number increased side by side. How come is this possible? How come this comes into existence as well? So because ransomware economics changed dramatically in 2024, Lockbit takedown and the collapse of Elf-V and Black Cat, the second largest ransomware group, which imploded after pocketing $22 million ransom from the Change Healthcare attack. That means there was a Change Healthcare attack. That means they might have done an attack on a Change Healthcare organization and they pocketed $22 million ransom out of them without paying its own affiliates. That means who were doing this affiliate marketing for them, for the ransomware, second ransomware group, they didn't pay them and they took all of the money together with themselves. Fractured the ecosystem absolutely and obviously. So the breakdown was definitely there. The collapse was for sure. Because it is once all said, even if you are into the bad zone, even if you are into the good zone, if you are fracturing the ecosystem, you are definitely meant to go down. This is the biggest thing that I have ever heard and learned in my journey, so you should know. The large efficient syndicates that run hundreds of attacks a month broke apart. That means this was the second group that was collapsed, but they did and run hundreds of attacks monthly. Monthly, guys. That simply means if they're doing it monthly, that is a huge thing. These smaller actors tend to target mid-sized organizations and demanded lower ransom, which is why the payment total fell even as the attack count rose. The total fell was lower just because they were asking a lower amount of ransom and they were targeting the mid-sized organization. So this was the reason why simultaneously things were changing and upfrontly you were able to see the change in that. Meanwhile, the groups that survived went the opposite directions. That means they are stating that the organizations or you can say, or the groups that survived who were into the ransomware and they didn't fall into this, they went to the opposite directions. The average ransom demand in 2024 climbed to $2.73 million, nearly $1 million higher than 2023, obviously. So that means the amount was highly increasing in that period, but the largest single demand on record came from the Dark Angels group, which demanded $75 million from an unnamed Fortune 50 companies. That means they asked 50 company for, you can say, a different sort of random ransom, which combiningly fall to the $75 million, which is seriously insane, no? And then the Change Healthcare paid $22 million to Elf-V and Black Cat, the second largest group that we discussed above as well. and then watched LP exit scam their own affiliate who conducted the attack. That means the people they have hired, the LP who have hired the people, they took it out of them and they exited the scam on the spot. That means they didn't pay the money to the affiliates who were doing the attacks, conducting these attacks, and kept the money to themselves, which was not at all fair. Obviously, I feel so, but I don't know what to say about it. And then comes the CDK Global, whose software runs car dealership across the US. Paid $25 million after an attack paralyzed their operations. The average ransom demand per attack in H1, that means 2024, exceeded to $5.2 million. The median ransom payment told unequally stark story. It jumped from under $1,99,000 at the start of 2023 to 1.5 million by June 2024. So you can see the hike, guys. That was the reason the hike changed and the increase in the size became too much louder and exaggerated, How ransom as a service actually works. Now you might be thinking that how this thing actually works and how this thing actually rotates around. So I would explain you in a simpler, shorter manner without reading out the whole paragraph around it. There are ransomware groups which are so resilient to law enforcement action and how it is structured. So ransomware as a service is not a single criminal organization. That means there are different types of organizations which work as a group to be working in a ransomware as a service organization or a situation. Where what happens is that the people who write and maintain the ransomware code and support the infrastructure, that means leaking the sites, negotiating portals or victim dashboards, are different. They are the core developer groups. That is a different group. Then the groups like Lockbits and SB played their roles. They do not actually run most attacks. They do not run the attacks. They recruit affiliates, skilled cyber criminals who pay to use the platform and conduct their own attacks. That simply means they are hiring those affiliates. They are recruiting who are good with running and conducting those attacks, but they're using the platform of Lockbit and LFV. This is the second thing they did. And after that, when a victim pays the ransom is actually split. 70 to 80% goes to affiliate and 20 to 30% goes to the core group. So that's how it is divided. Now you think 70 to 80% if it is going to the affiliate and else we exit the scam situation by taking all the money without paying it to the affiliates. So how much loss it have been to the affiliates actually, right? So this is how ransomware as a service works, that there is a group of code developers, then there is a group of, there is an organizations or you can say the working groups which hire affiliates to conduct their own attacks, but they use the platform of who's. They use that platform of the core groups who are hiring them. So that's what they are doing. And then the structure means that shutting down the group, which is what the Operation Kronos did to Lockbit. Now we are talking about the Operation Kronos that I have mentioned in the very first line while we started the article, that they shut the Lockbit and but they does not eliminate the affiliates because they were not aware about the eliminates properly how it is happening. Those people are still out there, which means they can actually, they're skilled, they're operational, they can do anything they need to. They just needed a platform to work on, so they can simply move to another platform, obviously, right? So this is what they did. After the Lockbits down, a newer group called Ransom Hub rapidly absorbed displaced affiliates who were good and skilled and operational, and which were displaced affiliates from Lockbit, FP, Black Cat, and Ransom Hub, which only launched in February 2024, ended the year as the most prolific ransomware, which means even the Lockbit was one of the good at that moment, but because the Lockbit was down, the displaced affiliates from both of those groups, higher groups, were hired by the Ransom Hub group. So that because of that, they become the most prolific ransomware group. Now you understand how basically the ransomware as a service worked in that situation. Then comes out The law enforcement played whack-a-mole with groups and the groups simply relocated. That means they were trying to shut the moles as well, who were into the between of that situation, and the groups simply relocated from one platform to another, and the things kept on going. So the technical execution of most ransomware attacks follows a consistent pattern. That means initial access typically comes through one of three vectors, either the credential compromise, like the stolen usernames or passwords bought on the dark web, that could be the thing, or the phishing obtained through the phishing. Then second comes up is the exploitation of unpatched remote access services like RDP, VPN appliances, or supply chain. Anything it could be. Third party providers could be. Then, if you know, once inside, the attacker spends days to weeks moving laterally through the network. They keep on simultaneously going through that system, checking on everything and moving simultaneously along the side, identifying domain controllers, backup systems, and everything. They exfiltrate the sensitive data first, then deploy the ransomware encryption payload. That means whatever the data they have exfiltrated, they would encrypt all of the data and they would moving on, keeping on an eye simultaneously with that. By the time the victim gets to sees the ransomware note, the attacker had already completed their leverage. Pay or we publish what we do. That's what they do in that case. So that's how ransomware as a service works alongside. Then in 2024, data exfiltration was involved in 93% of all the ransomware attacks. And if you don't believe what I have written in my story, you can go ahead, read the articles from HN, read the articles from different sites. You can see I have mentioned in the end. You can see you can also read the chain analysis crypto crime report from 2025. You can read the IBM cost of data breach 2025, or you can also read the Cyberint ransomware annual report 2024 if you don't believe what I am saying could be right. But I would say that would be much better for your analysis as well, because you'll get a better idea about what I'm stating and I'm not stating the wrong statements. That would be a great thing for you. And so that's how things work, and that's how the situation went. Why companies still pay? Now comes the question that if people are aware about this ransomware thing and the ransomware as a service situation, then why they do it? Despite everything, the law enforcement operations, the public messaging about not paying ransom, the growing evidence that payment does not guarantee data deletion, organizations still pay. Why? Because they were not aware, but those who pay face catastrophic amounts. Recovery time has also worsened. Only 22% of victims were fully recovered within a week in 2024. That means within a week time period, only 22% of, you can say, victims were able to fully recover from that particular amount they have paid, also compared to 47% in 2023. The Change Healthcare attack cost United Health Group between $2.3 billion and $2.45 billion in total response cost for a single ransomware incident. Now think, that's why they are still not. The decision to pay is rarely simple. When a hospital cannot access patient records or a car dealership cannot process any transaction, the daily operation loss can exceed the ransom demand within seconds, not even days. I have written days because it was according to the article that I have read. But nowadays, as I have seen the articles and as I have seen the situations, the ransomware exceed can be demand can exceed within the seconds, not even in the days. When they know that your task, your organization work on that operations, that's definite to get you out of that money. So the calculus is pay 25 million now or lose $30 million per week in revenue. So that's what the situation comes up as. That's why basically the ransom is paid in those organizations. What actually reduces the risk? Backups are not optional. The first thing first, you should have a backup. Offline immutable backups that ransomware cannot reach or encrypt are the single most effective mitigation that I have seen. Then comes the uncomfortable truth that no technical control eliminates ransomware risk entirely, and it is the biggest and the uncomfortable truth. Every organization, every person should know about it if they are facing this. Then you think, and then comes this, as you can see, the ransomware affiliates, particularly smaller groups operating post Lockbit, conduct attacks at scale and move on when resistance appear. Because if you have a resistance in your brain, it would become complex for the organizations or for these ransomware groups as well, that yeah, this person is resistant, that means they might have some backup in plan. But if you're not resistant enough and you would show the panic on your face, then you are definitely going to be a part, or you are definitely going to fall into the trap of these smaller groups or these sort of ransom hub groups, where you are meant to pay amount for these ransomware attacks. So now I believe this is what I can tell you about the ransomware attack in 2024, the groups, about how basically the group broke down, and what is the most important thing. If you are an organization, if you are a common people, if you're a normal people, do not pay on the spot. Take your time, show some resistance, have your backups planned already so that you don't have to worry about if what can happen, what can go wrong, how things can go wrong. So if you feel that this actually made some sense to your brain and you like this video, please don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends and colleagues as well. I broke this down in full on Breach Brief, as I'm mentioning right now. Go and check it out here if you are reading the article, and if you are watching the video, go and check out the article, and don't forget to subscribe for more such interesting episode breakdowns that are going to come sooner and sooner. All stats sourced are from primary industry reports. If you like it, please do let me know in the comment section and we will discuss more about it. Hope you understand it and might be it helped you gain some insight. So don't forget to also follow and subscribe to my medium, Mirage Insights, for more coming up insights without getting it complex. If you like the video, don't forget to like it, share it, subscribe it, and share it with your friends and colleagues. So I believe you guys enjoyed the episode, guys, and do let me know if you want me to bring more such sessions. Till the time, bye bye, guys. Have a good day, and we'll see you soon in the upcoming episodes.